on your X account to millions of people. You've said this: stop letting women vote, stop giving women position as judges, stop giving women political appointments. As soon as only men run government and law, all the problems disappear. Women now understand that without male protection, they're nothing but victims.
There are only a handful of people online who have seen their reputation crash this hard and this quickly, and Andrew Tate is one of the biggest examples. Not too long ago, he was being talked about like he could not be challenged, a larger-than-life figure who seemed to dominate every corner of the internet.
Will you do something for me or not, Aiden?
Okay, but Kyle, can you come with me, bro? You're my best friend. We have to go to
I'll come with you. I got you. Are there bad bitches there?
I don't know if there are. I don't know if you'll be able to find them or if they'll talk to you. The point is, Aiden said he'd do something for me.
You know who the fuck I am?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
You're telling me a girl's fucking your bald ass over me?
Is that SpongeBob on your t-shirt?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Why am I talking to these children? Okay, you take your inhaler, G.
His influence was everywhere. Millions of people were watching his content, repeating his opinions, and debating his ideas non-stop. For a lot of young men, his messages shaped how they looked at success, relationships, personal ambition, and even what being a man meant in today's world. His reach was so massive that what he posted online often sparked huge conversations across social media.
Is it fair to say that the greatest fraud check of all time happened on Saturday when Andrew Tate lost to Chase Damore?
The level of influence he had was something most internet personalities could only dream about. His name carried huge weight online, and his content reached audiences on a scale that many creators spend their entire careers trying to achieve. Backed by massive wealth from his loyal fan base and a range of business ventures that regularly sparked debate and public scrutiny, Tate built an image that seemed almost impossible to challenge. In the online world, he was treated by some supporters like internet royalty. Other streamers and content creators would go out of their way to get his attention, hoping for a shout-out, a collaboration, or simply the chance to be associated with his growing influence.
It's an interesting philosophical question, because if you wrap in the persona part of it, then yes, like that's pretty
This might be the quintessential fraud check.
Because back then, being connected to him actually carried real status and influence. For many people online, even a small association with Tate could bring attention, followers, and credibility within certain communities. That shows just how much power and reach he had at the height of his popularity. But things look very different now. The days when supporters proudly called him Top G without any irony seem far removed from where the conversation is today. Instead of people being intimidated by him or rushing to align themselves with his image, he's increasingly becoming the target of jokes, memes, and non-stop criticism across social media platforms.
If there was any sort of doubt about him winning, he should have never taken this fight. And now he's going online and he's doing the babyface thing of like, you have to live, and I'd rather try and fail. No, that's not who you are. Your persona has nothing to do with failure.
As the brand and image he spent years building begin to show visible cracks, more people are questioning whether the larger-than-life persona was ever as solid as it appeared. The foundation that once looked unshakable is now facing growing scrutiny from critics, commentators, and even former supporters. At the same time, the man who spent years presenting himself as someone who had life completely figured out has, in some interviews, acknowledged that parts of his life may not be as fulfilling as many people were once led to believe. This shift has only added more attention to the ongoing discussion surrounding his public image.
Think that the things you own you.
Okay.
And perhaps you could have a whole bunch of money. If you want to live a very simple life, then you have more freedom. That's true.
Yeah.
But if you're stupid like me and you have a whole bunch of money and 102 cars and 33 houses and 4 baby mamas and a jet and a yacht, and you start getting all this shit, you turn out that you don't own it, it owns you, because every day you're getting problems dealing with these things.
This is the story of Andrew Tate's decline, a journey from an image that once looked nearly impossible to challenge, to public setbacks that raised serious questions about years of bold claims, and an online empire that went from attracting huge support to facing growing criticism from all directions. When people try to pinpoint where things really started to shift, many point to his return to the boxing ring. After stepping away from kickboxing in 2016 because of a serious eye injury, Tate briefly came back in 2020 and competed in 4 professional fights in Romania before leaving the sport once again. Then, in late 2025, another comeback was announced. This time, he was set to compete for the Misfits Boxing Heavyweight Championship in a match that was promoted as a major moment in his fighting career. The event generated plenty of attention, with supporters eager to see whether he could still perform at a high level inside the ring. The outcome, however, quickly became one of the most talked about moments of his recent career.
He's got a big mouth. You know, he likes to show off, likes to get clicks. It's exactly what I thought he'd be. He's just a product of the new generation. Like I said, I don't think he thinks properly before he talks. I think he will regret saying that. Well, I know he'll regret it. I'll make him regret it. But I think even himself, he'll regret saying that. I just don't think he was thinking it through. I've definitely missed the whole the vibe of the gym, the camaraderie you have with the other people you're training with. I missed the brotherhood. But I knew exactly what I was getting in for. I knew exactly what I was going to be preparing for. I knew exactly what we were going to have to do. I knew how hard it was going to be. I was very excited by it. And we're coming to the end of that now. The training's been done. It's time to fight. So
Tate lost by majority decision to Chase Damore in a 6-round contest held in Dubai. Many viewers and commentators felt his performance fell far short of the expectations that had been built around the fight. As the rounds progressed, he appeared to struggle physically, leading to widespread criticism online and sparking even more debate about the gap between his long-standing public image and what people had just witnessed in the ring. The reason this moment hit so hard went far beyond simply losing a boxing match. For years, Tate had made his fighting background, physical toughness, and combat experience a major part of his public image. Those qualities were not just side details of his brand. They were at the very center of the persona he presented to the world. That is why the reaction was so intense after the fight. In the weeks leading up to the event, Tate spoke and carried himself with the confidence of someone who expected a convincing performance. The matchup against Chase Damore was often framed as a major opportunity to showcase his skills and reinforce the image he had spent years building online. Instead, the result sparked a wave of criticism and debate. For many viewers, it was not just about the loss itself, but about how sharply the outcome contrasted with the expectations and confidence that had surrounded the comeback from the very beginning.
yeah, obviously I didn't get the result I wanted, but truthfully the result I wanted was to see if I could still do it. 40 years old, 10 years retired, a little bit of time in a Romanian dungeon. It was always going to be a big ask against someone so much bigger than me, younger than me, more active than me, but I wanted a real challenge. I didn't want to fight a tin can. I didn't want to fight someone older than me or smaller than me. You know, I felt like I won the first 2 rounds, but then because he's 20 kilo heavier, he started leaning on me and sapped some energy. But I didn't quit. Never give up, never retreat, never surrender, fight to the end, go out on your shield. So I have no excuses. Training camp went fantastic. Time is the fire in which we all burn. Unfortunately, a 40-year-old's not a 22-year-old. I gave it my absolute all, and I have nothing but respect for Chase. I have no excuses. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I'm not going to make up any reasons. He was the man who won. He deserves.
Instead of delivering the dominant performance many of his supporters expected, Tate found himself on the losing side of one of the most talked about fights of his recent career. Once the result became official, social media exploded with reactions, jokes, memes, and commentary from critics who had been waiting for a moment like this. One point that kept coming up in online discussions was the contrast between Tate's long-running public image and what people had just witnessed in the ring. Many commentators highlighted the irony they saw in the situation, with countless posts and videos dissecting the outcome from every angle. The fact that his opponent wore pink gloves became a detail that was repeatedly mentioned across social media, as people piled on with jokes and viral posts. To his credit, Tate appeared more restrained in the immediate aftermath of the fight. However, that response also drew criticism. While he repeatedly stated that he was not making excuses, some viewers felt that several of his explanations for the result sounded very much like attempts to justify what had gone wrong inside the ring.
Andrew's not the same man he was 10 years ago. He's a lot older than he was. I think it showed in the ring. You know, I respect him a lot for getting in there and trying. And I love him, and I support anything he wants to do in the future.
His brother Tristan quickly stepped in and appeared to soften the impact of the loss in public. Through interviews, social media posts, and public comments, he worked to defend Andrew's performance and push back against some of the criticism that was spreading online.
Me coming into this podcast studio was nerve-wracking. Me getting out of the car and making it into a building with nothing bad happening to me, I feel adrenaline. I lost my fight because I had so much adrenaline. I had like an adrenaline dump after the second round. I said to my coach, I feel weird. I have like some adrenaline dump. I don't know. I wanted to fight too much. It was the weirdest thing in the world. After the second round, I stopped punching. It was like fucking awe.
But Andrew did not seem ready to move on from the loss just yet. The more he spoke about the fight and revisited what happened, the more attention the defeat continued to receive. For many viewers, his public attempts to explain and process the result ended up creating even more discussion and criticism online.
I don't know, my last fight didn't go the way it was supposed to go. Maybe it's a sign from God to try again. Maybe it's a sign from God to try, or I'm not sure, but it's hard to fight. I state this without her. It's truly hard to fight with those. I got a lot. I've got a lot of money. I've got things going on. I've got an empire to maintain. And I did really train hard for the last one. It didn't go my way. So I'm trying to work out what that message was.
To many observers, the situation started to feel increasingly strange. Even months after the fight, the conversation had not completely faded away. Tate continued addressing the loss in interviews and online appearances, offering new explanations and perspectives that critics often described as becoming more difficult to accept with each passing week.
Miami Beach nightclub catching heat, accused of celebrating hate with a song about Hitler.
Absolute disgust. Disgusted, horrified.
City leaders reacting to videos making the rounds on social media featuring the Kanye West song with the lyrics Heil Hitler over and over again. The same men seen in the club, known as controversial influencers, are also in a video from a limo. In that one, they're singing and one of them is performing a Nazi salute.
Have people in our city celebrating this. Animals.
This is obviously not welcome in Miami Beach. It should not be welcome anywhere in the world.
But the loss to D'Amour was only one piece of the story. The bigger problem was what happened afterward. Once the defeat put a spotlight back on Tate's fighting background, people began taking a much closer look at the career and record that had played such a major role in building his reputation. That deeper scrutiny ended up creating even more debate than the fight itself. One of the most widely discussed breakdowns came from MMA content creator Napoleon Bonaparte, who examined publicly available information surrounding Tate's competitive history.
To be honest with you, as for this ridiculous club event, I don't think it's gone viral organically, to be honest with you. I think that if I wasn't there, it wouldn't have gone viral. I think if Myron, Clav, Nick, and the other guy all stood there in the club and played that song, nobody would give it. I would argue they've done it many times before. They play it on their streams all the time. Nobody cares. It only went viral because I was there. And I don't think that's organic. I think that there is an extremely orchestrated campaign designed to make sure that my influence never reaches the level it was previously. I have criminal cases in many countries around the world. To believe that the constant, endless smear of me in the media is somehow organic and not an intelligence campaign is ignorance. And this video was deliberately pushed to damage my ability to defend myself in court.
The analysis gained significant attention online and sparked plenty of discussion among both supporters and critics. According to the claims presented in that breakdown, questions were raised about the documentation and verification of portions of Tate's reported fight record. The findings suggested that some listed victories were difficult to independently confirm through publicly available evidence, while many of the opponents that could be identified appeared to have limited recorded competition histories. Those claims quickly fueled further controversy and intensified the ongoing arguments surrounding Tate's credentials and public image. According to the claims and analysis that was circulating online, several of Tate's title wins also came under increased scrutiny. Critics pointed out that some championship victories were against opponents with very limited documented competitive records, while another title bout was against a fighter whose overall record was reportedly below .500. They also argued that the championships themselves were not viewed as major accomplishments within the wider combat sports world. On top of that, discussions about his career record highlighted that only a relatively small number of his opponents had documented winning records, leading to even more debate about the level of competition he faced. For many people, this was a significant moment. Fighting credentials had long been one of the strongest pillars of Tate's public image. As questions about that part of his background gained attention, critics began re-examining other aspects of the persona he had spent years building online. The conversation shifted from one fight loss to a much broader discussion about reputation, credibility, and how public figures shape their image. Instead of stepping away from the spotlight and allowing the controversy to cool down, Tate soon found himself involved in another widely discussed situation. By that point, many people had already heard about the HH controversy, which drew attention after footage circulated showing Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, Myron Gaines, and Sneako at a Miami nightclub while a highly controversial song by Ye was playing. The clip quickly spread across social media and sparked another wave of debate, reactions, and criticism online. The backlash was fast and intense. The footage spread across social media almost immediately, triggering widespread criticism, heated debates, and countless reactions online. As the controversy gained momentum, it brought significant attention and scrutiny to everyone who was connected to the situation.
See me at any of this, firstly, but I want to be very careful here because I don't want to deflect too heavily. I don't want to be blaming other people, etc. A whole bunch of songs were played that night, none of which I requested. None. I walk into a nightclub and songs are played. Unfortunately, if anything happens anywhere near me, it gets tied to my name.
Andrew's response was to portray the entire situation as a coordinated effort aimed at damaging his reputation. He argued that the controversy gained major attention primarily because his name was attached to it, suggesting that the story would not have attracted nearly the same level of public interest if he had not been involved. That explanation quickly became a topic of debate across social media and online commentary channels. But that was not the part that surprised people the most. What really caught many longtime followers off guard was what happened next. For years, Tate had built a reputation for standing firm during public controversies and refusing to back away from criticism. Instead of responding in the way many supporters had come to expect, he took a noticeably different approach that immediately sparked discussion online. He began directing criticism towards Sneako and suggested that much of the responsibility for the situation fell on him, a move that immediately raised eyebrows among viewers. Critics were quick to point out that Tate had also been present at the nightclub during the incident, which led to even more debate online about accountability and who should bear responsibility for the controversy.
Sneako always has some crybaby issue with me. And I could sit here and blame it all on him. But that's truthfully not, I don't know, that just feels wrong to me. But it is kind of ridiculous. It does feel a bit unfair that I'm standing in a nightclub. A song comes on that I did not request. A song comes on that I do not dance to. I do not repeat the lyrics to. I just stand there.
Wow, what a good goy. You don't dance. I'm a good goy. I didn't dance. I just stood there. I wasn't dancing like the rest of those anti-Semites. Look, what do you mean? Bro, that's why I thought the song would be fine. I've seen this video. I wouldn't try to backstab you. I wouldn't play a song that would make you upset. Did you think I was setting you up? I don't understand the argument here, genuinely. And I want people to notice, like in 4K, like this is the Matrix right here.
What followed was a long and chaotic stretch of public back and forth between the two. Social media posts, live stream comments, and public statements kept the dispute alive, turning it into a highly visible feud that drew attention from supporters, critics, and online commentators alike. From Sneako's point of view, the disagreement goes much deeper than a single controversy. He has suggested that the real issue comes from what he sees as a gap between Andrew's public messaging and certain aspects of how he lives his life. According to Sneako, those perceived inconsistencies became increasingly difficult to ignore over time. He has also argued that his personal religious beliefs influence how he views those situations, leading him to approach the matter very differently than Andrew does. Those comments added another layer to the ongoing dispute and fueled even more discussion online. Andrew has repeatedly rejected that interpretation during podcast appearances and interviews. He has pushed back strongly against Sneako's claims, arguing that they do not accurately reflect the situation and dismissing the criticism altogether. Instead, Andrew has suggested that Sneako benefits from keeping the public dispute alive, claiming that discussions involving his name naturally attract attention and views. Those comments only added more tension to the feud, with both sides continuing to trade public criticisms while audiences closely followed the ongoing drama. At the height of his influence, Tate had an audience that often rallied behind him during public disputes. When conflicts broke out, many supporters would quickly adopt his perspective and defend his position across social media platforms. This situation, however, felt different to a lot of observers. Rather than automatically taking Tate's side, many people appeared more willing to consider Sneako's arguments or remain skeptical of both sides. Across online discussions, a common reaction was that Tate seemed unusually focused on the dispute, with some critics arguing that his continued responses were keeping the controversy alive instead of bringing it to an end. And the deeper issue was that many followers felt his response clashed with the image he had spent years building. A large part of his appeal had always been based on projecting confidence, taking responsibility, and standing firm under pressure. Because of that, some supporters were surprised by what they saw as an effort to shift blame elsewhere rather than confront the criticism directly.
I'm too smart for books. Yeah, I'm too smart for books. So Twitter's upset about that. There's obviously some fucking broke dude who reads books who's really upset by the fact that I have a $110 million car collection and $400 million of property around the world. I'm one of the most well-known, relevant people. I'm one of the most famous people on the fucking planet. I get asked to do podcasts about every subject. about pussy and bitches, geopolitics, money, you name it. There's not a fucking subject on earth that every single podcaster that these losers watch doesn't beg me, Andrew Tate, please will you come on my show? Please with your opinions. How did I get all these amazing opinions without reading books? Oh, I should have read books and sat at home and been fucking broke. Like all the people on Twitter who think reading's so important. Reading's so important. How come no one knows who the fuck you are? No one knows who the fuck you are. I learned all my lessons through action, through fighting. I win some fights, I lose some fights, but at least I get in there and fight. You're fucking reading.
As a result, the reaction was not what it might have been during the peak of his influence. Instead of uniting behind him, parts of his audience appeared increasingly divided, with some even expressing support for the opposing side in the dispute. While that drama was still unfolding, another issue suddenly gained attention. An old clip of Tate arguing that reading books was a waste of time resurfaced and began spreading rapidly across social media platforms, creating yet another wave of debate and criticism online.
What the do you even care for? I care because I have properties in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I care because I have over $300 million in the region. Do you? No. I care because I actively have a $5 million trading account which is trying to predict the price, long and short, of oil so I can continue to be richer than you. Do you? No. I care because I have vested interest, plus I'm rich, plus I have time. Why the fuck do you care? You have no vested interest in the region. You haven't got a fucking clue what's going on. You lack the ability to critically think about any of it like I just did. So you care because it's entertaining.
Because many people viewed the statement as overly simplistic, the reaction online was immediate and intense. Comment sections filled up with criticism, jokes, and memes as thousands of users weighed in on the resurfaced clip. Some of the most common jokes compared the comment to a student trying to explain to a teacher why an assignment had not been completed. Others poked fun at the idea of dismissing reading altogether, creating a flood of viral posts that spread across multiple platforms. The discussion quickly grew far beyond the original clip and became another widely shared internet moment. As expected, Tate publicly maintained that the criticism did not bother him. However, many viewers interpreted his responses differently. Rather than appearing completely unfazed, some felt he seemed unusually frustrated by the backlash. That perception only fueled further discussion, with critics arguing that his reactions revealed more irritation than he was willing to openly acknowledge.
It's like the Smurfs. They're like, hello, sir. They're like little Smurfs.
They're great people.
They're great people.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of them asked to finish early because she wanted to go home to see her son who was visiting from the Philippines for the first time in 2 years. And the other cleaner wasn't cleaning fast enough. So I was in my room and then I heard all this Filipino. I was like, what the fuck? And I came out and the Filipinos were beating the shit. It was like a fucking fist fight between the Smurfs.
Pacquiao came out.
I was like, Smurfs, enough. This is a house of love. True or false?
True.
True story. The Smurfs had a fucking fist fight. So, you know, the slaves sometimes get unruly. That is what it is. But yeah, I got slaves.
You whip them?
I don't need to. Because they know I will. So I don't need to. You know?
As criticism and controversy continued to build from several directions, other challenges reportedly began adding even more pressure. Unlike online disputes or public feuds, some of these issues were tied to broader events that were completely outside of his direct control. Reports and online discussions suggested that the ongoing conflict in the Middle East may have affected certain investments and business interests connected to Tate. While the full impact has been difficult to independently verify, the claims contributed to a growing narrative that multiple pressures were hitting at the same time, both online and behind the scenes.
You believe that perhaps you're going to gain status. There's something you're looking for because people are self-interested. You're trying to impress me or Elon or...
I always love when these alpha males unnecessarily put themselves in the same conversations of like massively influential people like Elon Musk or some type of like really famous celebrity. It's always really funny to see and displays how moronic they are. I feel like people at this point get the point. Andrew Tate is just self-gobbling himself, that people are willing to get on their knees because they have no self-respect for themselves. I honestly feel like he will only hire someone that he knows he can bully. I'm pretty certain there are no strong-willed people who he has hired because he is fearful of someone who is confident in themselves.
potentially creating new challenges for the business empire he had spent years showcasing as a major symbol of his success. For someone whose public image was closely tied to wealth, financial strength, and independence, even reports of possible setbacks quickly became a major topic of discussion online. And while financial uncertainty can be stressful for anyone, public reaction was shaped by other controversies that had already surrounded him. Critics pointed to past reports and allegations regarding how he interacted with people who worked for him, including staff connected to his Dubai penthouse. Those claims became part of a broader debate about his leadership style and public persona, making it more difficult for some observers to view his situation sympathetically. For someone who spent years presenting himself as a critic of systems he viewed as unfair or exploitative, critics argue that there is a noticeable contradiction in how he operates when those same systems appear to benefit him personally. That perceived inconsistency has become another recurring point of discussion among both supporters and detractors. Looking at the bigger picture, many observers point to a series of events, including the return to the ring, the nightclub controversy, the public dispute with Sneako, and several other highly publicized moments, as signs that things have become increasingly turbulent around Tate. Rather than strengthening his image, these situations often seem to generate new waves of criticism and scrutiny. What makes this especially notable is how different it appears from the image he spent years cultivating. His brand was built around discipline, confidence, strategic thinking, and staying in control under pressure. Yet critics argue that many of his recent decisions have appeared more reactive than calculated, creating the impression of someone constantly responding to problems instead of staying ahead of them. As the controversies continued to stack up, many viewers began commenting on his public appearances and live streams. For those following closely, some felt that the ongoing pressure and non-stop attention were becoming increasingly difficult to hide, adding another layer to the growing debate surrounding his current situation. These kinds of long-running personal and public challenges would be difficult for almost anyone to handle. Constant criticism, online scrutiny, public controversies, and intense attention can place enormous pressure on a person over time. But one reason many critics have been reluctant to show sympathy is tied directly to statements Tate has made in the past. Over the years, Tate has repeatedly argued that depression is not real, a position that sparked major backlash and disagreement from mental health professionals, commentators, and members of the public. Because those comments are well documented, many people have viewed his current situation through that lens. As a result, a common reaction online has centered on what critics see as a strong contradiction. The same public figure who built much of his reputation around resilience, toughness, and pushing through hardship is now being closely scrutinized for signs that he may be struggling with the pressures surrounding him. That perceived irony has become a major talking point, and it is one that the internet continues to discuss relentlessly.
Women sleep well at night. This is for girls. Men don't. Every night I have nightmares. Every sleep is interrupted. All of them. I am stressed. I am anxious. I am worried all day, every single fucking day until the day I die.
As the controversies, criticism, and setbacks have continued to pile up, many observers have argued that Tate's public outlook has become noticeably more negative. The further these debates have progressed, the more some critics have suggested that the confident image he once projected appears increasingly disconnected from how he presents himself today. What stands out to many viewers is the contrast between his current tone and the lifestyle he spent years promoting. After building a reputation around wealth, influence, success, and giving advice on how others should live, some recent interviews have left audiences questioning whether that image still reflects reality. To certain observers, he has sounded far less satisfied than the larger-than-life persona that originally attracted millions of followers. In several interviews, Tate has also acknowledged that his position in online culture has changed. He has spoken about feeling less central to the conversation than he once was, and suggested that newer personalities, often viewed as even more controversial or attention-grabbing, have begun occupying the spotlight that he previously dominated.
Lucky when I first got famous, I feel like I was in a good position because the truth was the outrage. I could say the truth about being a man and the truth about being a woman, and the world was so cucked and we were so heavily censored that it was the outrage. I could tell the truth about COVID and it was the outrage.
Figures who, in the eyes of many observers, have stepped into a space that Tate once seemed to dominate. For someone whose brand was built on influence, cultural relevance, and staying ahead of trends, publicly acknowledging that shift is a significant moment. To critics, it sounded like an admission that the formula that once drove his rapid rise is no longer producing the same results it once did. As a result, some commentators argue that Tate now appears to be competing for attention in much the same way as countless other online personalities. Judging by the tone of several recent interviews, many viewers have come away with the impression that he is frustrated with how much the landscape around him has changed. Even so, he continues to make statements that generate strong reactions and heated debate. During a recent appearance on Fresh and Fit, Tate reaffirmed his views about traditional gender roles and motherhood, extending those comments to include his own daughters. The remarks quickly sparked discussion online, with supporters and critics once again clashing over his perspective and its broader implications.
But now so much of the truth is actually out there that telling the truth isn't outrageous anymore. So now you got to find a new outrage. Yeah. So we go for racism and edgelording and all these crazy things to try and make people go, wow, he said that. But back in my day, I sound like an old man now, 3-4 years ago when I was really big, the things that made national news 4 years ago when I said women couldn't drive, nobody would give a single out if you said that. Yeah. The Overton window shifted.
Those comments quickly became another flashpoint in the ongoing debate surrounding Tate's views. Critics strongly disagreed with the idea that a person's value should be tied primarily to parenthood, while supporters defended his perspective. As with many of his recent appearances, the remarks generated headlines, reactions, and intense discussion across social media platforms. At the same time, some viewers have argued that his content feels different from what it once was. There is a growing perception among critics that the energy and confidence that originally helped build his massive audience are not as consistent as they once appeared. To them, some appearances now come across less like a dominant figure setting the agenda and more like someone trying to maintain a persona that has become increasingly difficult to sustain. Adding to the pressure, the legal situation surrounding Andrew and Tristan Tate continues to develop and remains a major source of public attention. Political figures in the United Kingdom have continued calling for legal action related to ongoing criminal allegations. After reports emerged that Andrew Tate had been seen in Hong Kong, Conservative Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp publicly urged authorities to pursue an extradition request so that both brothers could return to the UK and address the legal matters being discussed. Liberal Democrat Home Affairs spokesperson Max Wilkinson took an even stronger position, publicly criticizing Andrew Tate and calling for immediate government action regarding the allegations surrounding him. His comments added to the growing political pressure and kept the story firmly in the public spotlight. The debate quickly expanded beyond online discussions, becoming part of a wider conversation involving politicians, legal experts, commentators, and media outlets. Tate's legal team responded by emphasizing that any potential legal proceedings in the United Kingdom would need to follow the resolution of the ongoing proceedings in Romania. According to their position, this approach had already been recognized by the relevant UK authorities, meaning there was no legal gap that required additional political intervention at that stage. As a result, the issue remained closely tied to the broader legal processes already underway. Then, in late March 2026, Hertfordshire Constabulary announced that it would formally reopen an investigation related to allegations of rape and sexual assault dating back to 2014 and 2015. The force stated that allegations of such seriousness must be investigated fully, carefully, and thoroughly, regardless of how much time has passed since the claims were first made. As with all criminal investigations, allegations remain unproven unless established through the legal process, but the announcement immediately generated major headlines and renewed public attention. What makes this moment particularly striking is how different it looks from the image Tate once projected. There was a time when many people viewed him as a figure who could weather almost any controversy without suffering lasting damage. No matter how intense the criticism became, he often seemed capable of turning attention into even greater visibility and influence.
If I'm good at ballet, I'm gonna go and do ballet, and I'm gonna take the money, and then if I need clothes, I'm gonna buy the clothes. I'm not gonna make my own clothes. I'm not gonna wire up my own house. I'm not gonna build my own lodgings. I'm not gonna cut my own grass. I'm gonna do the one thing I'm good at and take the money and exchange it for the things I'm not as good at. Right. Because if you decide to make your own clothes and build your own house, you're gonna actually be poor. So you win by optimizing your life, and you optimize your life by focusing on the one thing you are best at and taking that and exchanging it for all the things you are not good at. So I would say, and the reason I made that is so you understand this point, optimally, the best thing a woman can do, what she is best at, is the only thing that men can't do, which is have children. That is the best way for you to win, because men can do basically everything else, can do things completely right. I agree with you. Bro, I know I have a whole bunch of smart work for me. I have lawyers. I go to judges. I can do a lot of stuff. But what I'm saying is, her optimal, what we're best at, and the reason they're best at it is because no one else can do it, is having children.
Today, however, the picture appears far more complicated. Instead of looking untouchable, Tate finds himself facing criticism from multiple directions at once: public controversies, business questions, political pressure, legal scrutiny, and growing divisions within parts of his own audience. Whether supporters agree or critics celebrate it, the contrast is difficult to ignore. The man who once appeared unstoppable now faces a level of sustained opposition that has dramatically reshaped how he is viewed across much of the internet and beyond. After facing a series of setbacks unlike anything he dealt with during his rise to fame, many critics have argued that the resilience and confidence Tate spent years promoting now appear to be under far greater pressure than ever before. The contrast between the image he built and the challenges he faces today has become one of the biggest themes in the discussion surrounding his decline. The online landscape that once seemed to revolve around him has changed dramatically. New personalities have emerged, audience interests have shifted, and the conversations that once fueled his rapid growth no longer carry the same momentum. To many observers, Tate is no longer viewed as the dominant figure he once was, but rather as a controversial personality struggling to maintain the level of influence he previously enjoyed. If the current trend continues, the era when Andrew Tate was among the most searched and most discussed figures on the internet may end up feeling like a completely different chapter in online culture. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. It helps the channel more than most people realize. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more deep dives into major internet personalities, controversies, and cultural stories. Let me know your thoughts on the Tate situation in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.